Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Orion Tech Tips video. In today's video, we are going to be benchmarking Call of Duty Black Ops 6, the free trial, on the computer I just built and did a parts overview, that was part 1, and a parts explained video, that was part 2. Now, before we start discussing the numbers, I first have a question for you guys. Do you guys prefer when I benchmark one specific game in depth, or do you prefer when I benchmark a whole bunch of games at once in one video? I'm curious, let me know. Also, when the parts, or rather the graph and the numbers will show on screen in a second, but I first want to ask, do you guys prefer when I voice these over and explain these things to you, the graph just appeared on screen, or do you prefer when I do not do a voiceover and I just show the gameplay with the FPS and all of the utilization numbers and you guys just come to your own conclusion? I'm curious. What I'm going to do in this game is I'm going to be playing, or I already have, I'm just voicing this video over, 2 games of Black Ops 6. One of them is completely maxed out. So this is 1440p. Everything is cranked to the max. Not high, not ultra, but extreme. So there are no higher settings that I can possibly crank up. And then the next game that I played, or have already played, is going to be 1440p, and everything is cranked down to the lowest with frame generation. So that's the highest possible FPS you can get with this hardware combination at 1440p. Furthermore, I do want to say, someone is inevitably going to comment, well, are you recording the gameplay on this computer? Because if so, your FPS will drop. And yes, that is absolutely correct. That is what I am doing. So I am recording using OBS at 1440p 60 FPS. YouTube doesn't support a higher frame rate. That is what I'm doing. That is why I'm doing 60 FPS. And I am playing at 1440p, so that is also why I am recording at 1440p. Though if I was recording at, say, 1080p 30 FPS, I would be getting higher numbers because less resources to actually record that. So keep that in mind. If you're also recording at 1440p 60 FPS, well, then this is the exact frame rate you will get. Though if you are just gaming, you will get a higher frame rate. Keep that in mind. Typically, when I ran this game and I wasn't recording, I did like a practice run, I could not quite get a locked 165 FPS with VSync on, but it was close. It would sometimes dip down to the 150s, but a consistent, almost a consistent 165, certainly higher than it is right now. So yeah, in ideal circumstances, you would use one computer to play the game and one computer to record the gameplay, though you need 2 powerful computers. That's typically what a lot of watched, highly followed, highly prominent streamers use, but unfortunately I don't have 2 powerful computers, so that is why I am gaming and recording on the same computer. So just keep that in mind. Now, let's discuss the numbers. I currently have the average frame per second, and not just the numbers, but also a graph, so you can see all the dips and spikes, the GPU utilization, the GPU clock speed, the GPU power consumption, the GPU temperature, the GPU memory utilization, and the the GPU memory clock speed, CPU usage. That's foreshadowing that we are CPU limited, indeed, as well as the system memory usage. I do first want to say that I know Tech Deals, he has all of these, as in addition, he also has the CPU clock speed, and the CPU temperature, and the CPU power utilization. I want to have it, but I updated AMD's software, which is what I am using to get these numbers, and they no longer support it, even though they used to. I don't know why. AMD, what the heck? But I will tell you right now, even though this motherboard that I'm using, the ASRock X870E, ASRock X870E Nova Phantom Wi-Fi Gaming. Does have 2 pins, so technically this CPU, the Ryzen 7 9800X3D, can pull 300 watts. It doesn't come close to that. I've never seen it pull close to that. Typically, it's in the 50 to 60 watt range. The clock speed maybe 4.7 to 5.2 gigahertz, though that doesn't matter that much because it is an X3D CPU. We are less reliant off clock speed and more reliant on the 3D V cache, the L3 cache. And then with the CPU temperature, I have a Noctua NHD15G2. Amazing air cooler, super quiet, love the noise, love the lack thereof, love the thermals, lack thereof. Typically, it's not going over 70 degrees, like maximum. Anyway, with those numbers out of the way, let's talk about the FPS. So typically, when I'm playing this game, I enable VSync to prevent screen tearing. However, for the sake of this video, I have VSync off, though it doesn't look like we are getting above 165 Hz. I have a 1440p 165 Hz monitor that I'm currently using, the HP Ullman. The GPU utilization, so we're getting the 150s, I would say that's like the average FPS. The GPU utilization, sometimes peaking up to 99%, but it does go down. I'd say maybe like the 90% range. We are certainly CPU limited. So you can see here the CPU has been pegged at 100% this entire time, and that is because we are recording. So to mitigate, if not remedy this situation completely, ideally you would switch from a Ryzen 7 9800X3D, which is what I am currently using, to a Ryzen 9 9950X3D. That has 2 CCDs, one CCD, one 8-core CCD with 3D V cache, and that is the CPU that you should be gaming on, and the CPU without the 3D V cache you would be recording on. So that certainly would certainly free up some core counts. With the GPU, we are doing the the AMD Radeon RX, not the 9070 XT, but the 7900 XTX, 24 gigabytes of VRAM, higher rasterization performance, so especially if you are gaming at 4K, this will perform better, though we are not gaming at 4K, than the 9070 XT, though I would get whichever is cheaper. I did talk in depth about this in the past video, the Parts Explained video. In terms of the GPU memory utilization, it does look like we are using about 20 gigabytes. I have the textures cranked to the maximum. If you only have a 16 gigabyte graphics card, that is absolutely fine. You might just need to crank the textures from, I think, extreme to either ultra or high. I'm sure it's going to be fine. And for the system memory, though we are using 35, I'm guessing, though I don't know this for sure, we would be using less if I wasn't recording, though COD is known to be a memory-intensive game. I told you guys before, I was playing Call of Duty Warzone. I was using, I'd say, about 35 gigabytes, and then I go to bed, I go to sleep, but I forgot to exit the game, and when I wake up in the morning, Call of Duty is using, I think it was maxing out my entire 64 gigabyte RAM kit that I had at the time. So it is interesting why that is, and I was only running Call of Duty, nothing else, like no productivity applications, which I found interesting. I guess the longer you play the game, the more memory it takes up because the more details it has to load in, though I'm not entirely sure why. So this run that you're watching right now, everything is cranked to the max, and then I do a second run where everything is, I guess, cranked down to the lowest setting with FrameGen, as I already explained before. very close loss. If I only got one kill or didn't die, we would win that. But now, as we move into our second game, I am going to disable this voiceover. I will enable the audio, and then you guys can, for the second half of this video, just watch the gameplay, look at the numbers, and form your own conclusion. If you have a suggestion for a future video, or if you have any questions, make sure you drop it in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the rest of the gameplay. God bless.
Stay on task. Falling behind, Crimson.
Eyes on hostile long gun.
Your assault pack has been destroyed.
Take cover. Enemy sleeper agent. Sleeper agent exposed and eliminated.
Hostiles destroyed one of your assault packs.
Sensors on enemy.
You thought this was
Claim the
over?
advantage. Now hold it.
Enemy.
We have reports of an infiltrator. Watch your back.
Frag, throw.
They've taken the lead. Lead the guard.
Eyes on hostile Semtex. Semtex, front.
Archangel is up.
Bad guy, 12 o'clock. Incoming flashback.
Given up the lead.
Located Tango.
We're winning. Keep it. Mission goals are green. Dispatching teams to lock up survivors.